The Pacific horizon was still dark when Lieutenant Sarah Mitchell finished her 200th push-up. 5:30 a.m. at Naval Amphibious Base Coronado. Salt and diesel filled the air. Her muscles screamed. Her breathing stayed measured. She refused to quit. 30 Navy SEALs moved in perfect sync around her. Up, down, up, down. The rhythm of elite warriors who'd earned their tridents through unimaginable hell, and one woman who'd done exactly the same. Sarah Mitchell stood 5'3" in boots, weighing 125 pounds, the smallest operator on SEAL Team 5 by 70 pounds. At 26, she'd been a SEAL for exactly 2 years, 3 months, and 14 days. Some mornings still felt surreal. Most mornings, she made absolutely certain nobody questioned her presence. Time. Master Chief Robert Turner's voice cut through dawn. Recovery stretch. Move. Sarah rose smoothly, no tremor visible despite the 200 push-ups. She'd learned years ago that showing weakness invited questions, questions invited doubt, and doubt got people killed. The team stretched in silence, professional, focused. This was her family now. These men had watched her survive Hell Week, had witnessed her earn every single inch of respect. Then the buses arrived. But what rolled through those gates would test everything she'd built and threaten to destroy her career in just 2 weeks. Before we continue, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on and tell me in the comments what city you're watching from. All right, let's dive back in. 3 olive-drab transport vehicles rumbled through the main gate, United States Marine Corps insignia on their doors. Sarah felt the atmosphere shift immediately. SEALs and Marines shared a complicated relationship, mutual respect mixed with rivalry, each branch convinced of their superiority. The buses discharged their cargo, 6 Marines, all male, carrying that distinctive force recon swagger. The confidence that came from jumping out of perfectly good aircraft and calling it Tuesday. Sarah recognized the type instantly. She'd grown up around men like this. Her father had been one. The lead Marine stepped forward, 6'2", maybe 195 pounds, shoulders like a linebacker, jaw carved from granite, Staff Sergeant stripes on his sleeve. His name tape read, Bennett. Master Chief Turner approached, hand extended. Master Chief Robert Turner, welcome to Coronado. Bennett shook firmly, his assessing eyes sweeping the assembled SEALs like a general surveying troops. His gaze lingered on Sarah for exactly 2 seconds. His lip curled. What he said next would ignite a confrontation that would echo across the entire base and force Sarah to risk everything she'd worked for. Staff Sergeant Marcus Bennett, Force Recon. His voice carried parade ground volume. My team's here for the joint training exercise, 2 weeks of cross-branch integration. Outstanding. Turner gestured toward the SEALs. My team's ready to work with you. We'll be running combined ops, sharing tactics, building cohesion. Bennett's eyes found Sarah again. Something flickered across his face. Disbelief, contempt, amusement. All of your team? The question dripped skepticism. Sarah knew what was coming. She'd heard variations her entire career, at Basic, at Bud S, during every training evolution and deployment workup. The doubt never got old because it never went away. It just got louder. Bennett turned to his Marines, raising his voice another notch. Looks like Naval Special Warfare has updated their standards, boys. A theatrical pause. Wonder if they updated their coffee-making requirements, too. Laughter from the Marines. Uncertain silence from the SEALs. Sarah felt 30 pairs of eyes slide toward her. She didn't move, didn't react, maintained her position of attention, gaze fixed on the middle distance. A technique her father had taught her at 12 years old. When they try to get under your skin, baby girl, you become stone, you become water, you become air. Anything but what they expect. Bennett walked closer, boots crunching on gravel. He stopped 3 feet from Sarah, close enough to invade personal space. Far enough to maintain plausible deniability. What's your rate, sailor? Not lieutenant, not ma'am. Just the deliberate disrespect of ignoring her rank entirely. Sarah met his eyes, level, calm. Lieutenant Sarah Mitchell, SEAL Team 5. SEAL. He dragged the word out, turned it into something obscene. And how long you been playing SEAL, Lieutenant? 2 years, Staff Sergeant. 2 whole years. Bennett whistled low, shook his head. Boys, we got ourselves a seasoned veteran here. 2 years. He turned back to her, smiled. The kind of smile that wasn't friendly at all. Tell me, Lieutenant, they make Bud S easier for you? Lower that obstacle wall? Maybe let you skip the cold water evolution? Sarah's jaw tightened, the only visible reaction she allowed herself. Same course, same standards, same hell week. Sure, Bennett's smile widened. I believe that. I really do. He raised his voice again, addressing the entire formation. Now, I'm sure the Navy gave you the exact same standards as the men. Exact same. No political pressure, no diversity quotas, no senators making phone calls. He leaned in close enough that only Sarah and the nearest SEALs could hear his next words. Try not to cry, Princess. It's only 2 weeks. The words hit like a physical blow. Sarah's hands curled into fists at her sides. Every muscle screamed to move, to respond, to wipe that smug expression off his face. But she was stone. She was water. She was air. Yes, Staff Sergeant. Flat. Emotionless, giving him nothing. Bennett held her gaze 3 more seconds. Then he turned, dismissing her entirely, and addressed Master Chief Turner. My Marines are ready to train, Master Chief. Assuming we're actually here to train and not babysit. Turner's face had gone carefully blank. The kind of blank from 32 years of military service and learning when to fight your battles. We're here to train, Staff Sergeant. Let's get your team squared away. The formation broke. Marines moving toward barracks, SEALs dispersing. Sarah held her position until everyone else had moved. Then she walked. Not toward the barracks, but toward the beach. She needed to run. What Sarah didn't know was that Bennett's words had just set in motion a chain of events that would culminate in the most dangerous night of her life. A night that would prove whether warriors were born or made. The next 12 days unfolded like a masterclass in psychological warfare. Bennett and his Marines integrated into every training evolution, every briefing, every meal. And at every opportunity, the comments came. Sarah was firing rifle qualifications, 40 rounds at 300 yards, iron sights, wind gusting at 15 knots from the northwest. She called her shots, controlled her breathing, squeezed the trigger between heartbeats like her father had taught her before she could write in cursive. 40 rounds, 40 hits, dead center mass, perfect score. Bennett watched from the observation booth. His voice carried through the open window. Must be nice having adjustable targets. Bet they set hers 10 yards closer. Laughter from his Marines. Sarah ejected her magazine, cleared her weapon, said nothing, but she was keeping score. And Bennett had no idea what was building inside her, or what Master Chief Turner was planning. Full gear, 50-pound ruck, weapons, 2-mile ocean swim in 62-degree water. The cold didn't bother Sarah. She'd grown up swimming in these waters, had learned to love the Pacific's icy embrace during Hell Week. The cold was familiar, almost comforting. She finished the swim 8 minutes ahead of the next fastest time. Emerged from the surf, breathing hard but controlled, no shivering, no hypothermia symptoms. Bennett was waiting on the beach. Lucky current today. Probably had it easier being so small, less body mass to drag. Sarah wrung water from her hair. Yes, Staff Sergeant. Live fire exercises in the kill house with real ammunition. The most dangerous training SEALs conducted, where one mistake meant someone went home in a box. Sarah's team breached 6 rooms, engaged 42 targets, 0 civilian casualties, 0 friendly fire incidents. Completion time, 93 seconds. Textbook perfect. Bennett reviewed the video footage, shook his head. Anybody can shoot paper. Combat's different. When real bullets come back, we'll see who freezes. His corporal, a man named Garcia with Taekwondo black belt patches on his gym bag, nodded agreement. Women aren't wired for violence, it's biology. When it gets real, instinct takes over. Sarah was cleaning her weapon 15 feet away. She heard every word, said nothing. But Garcia had just volunteered himself for something he couldn't imagine. And in 3 days, he'd regret every word. The gym packed with operators from both services, crash mats covering the floor. The smell of sweat and determination thick in the air. The SEAL instructor, a grizzled chief petty officer who'd taught combatives for 20 years, called for demonstration volunteers. I need 2 people, 1 experienced grappler, 1 striker. We're going to show integrated technique. Before Sarah could process what was happening, Bennett's voice boomed across the gym. I volunteer Lieutenant Mitchell. The gym went quiet. Sarah turned. Bennett was smiling. That same not-friendly smile from day one. Come on, Lieutenant. Show us what female SEAL standards really mean. I'm curious. The instructor frowned. Staff Sergeant, I don't think... No disrespect, Chief, but we're supposed to be training together, right? Cross-branch integration. Let's integrate. Bennett gestured to his team. Corporal Garcia here has a Taekwondo black belt. 3rd degree. He'll be gentle. Garcia stepped forward. 5'9", maybe 170 pounds, lean and flexible. His grin matched Bennett's. I'll go easy, ma'am. Wouldn't want you getting hurt. Sarah looked at the instructor. The chief's expression said he knew exactly what was happening. Political theater, a setup designed to humiliate. He gave her a barely perceptible nod. Your call. Sarah stepped onto the mat. No ceremony, no warming up, just movement. Okay, the instructor said slowly. We'll do a light demonstration. 20% speed, just showing technique. Nah, Bennett's voice again. Let's make it real. Full speed, full contact. Let's see what a SEAL can actually do. The gym had gone completely silent now, 60 operators watching, waiting. This was about more than training. This was about proving the point Bennett had been making for 12 straight days. Women didn't belong here. The instructor looked at Sarah. Lieutenant, you comfortable with that? Sarah faced Garcia, analyzed his stance, weight distribution, the slight forward lean of a kicker, the loose shoulders of someone confident in their striking. Her father's voice whispered through her memory. Every opponent tells you how to beat them, baby girl. You just have to listen. Yes, Chief. Full contact is fine. What happened in the next 18 seconds would shock everyone in that gym and set in motion a challenge that would test Sarah beyond anything she'd ever faced. Garcia's grin widened. He bounced on the balls of his feet, loose, relaxed, already planning his spinning kick highlight reel. The instructor sighed. All right. Standard sparring rules. No strikes to groin or throat. No fish hooking or eye gouging. Match continues until one person taps, says stop, or I call it. He looked between them. Touch gloves. Keep it professional. They touched gloves. Sarah's hands looked tiny against Garcia's. Ready? The instructor raised his hand. Go! Garcia exploded forward immediately, a feint jab followed by a spinning back kick. Textbook Taekwondo. The kick was fast, well executed, would have looked spectacular. Sarah wasn't there. She'd read the setup the moment Garcia shifted his weight, had seen the telegraphed rotation of his hips. The spin was committed. No way to adjust mid-motion. She stepped inside the arc of his kick, let his momentum carry him past her. Garcia completed his spin slightly off balance, searching for a target that had moved. Sarah was behind him now. She hooked his lead leg with her foot, simple sweep, using his own forward momentum against him. Garcia's eyes widened as his balance disappeared. He went down hard, back slamming into the mat. Sarah followed him down, dropped into side control. Garcia was good. He immediately tried to bridge, to create space, but Sarah had already trapped his arm, her legs locked around his neck and shoulder in a perfect arm triangle choke. Garcia's other arm came up, trying to push her off. The obvious defense, the expected response. Sarah used that momentum, rolled them both, ended up mounted on his chest. The arm triangle locked deeper, her shoulder pressing into his neck, his own shoulder pressing into the other side. The carotid arteries compressed, blood flow to the brain cut off. Garcia's eyes went wide. He tried to buck her off, tried to push, tried to escape. Nothing worked. His face started turning red, then purple. He tapped. 3 quick slaps against the mat. Sarah released immediately, rolled off him, rose to her feet while Garcia gasped and coughed. 18 seconds. Start to finish. The gym stayed silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Sarah extended her hand to Garcia. After a moment, he took it. She pulled him to his feet. Good match, Corporal. Garcia rubbed his throat, stared at her. Something like respect flickered in his eyes. Where did you learn that? My father. He taught me to grapple before I could ride a bike. Bennett's voice shattered the moment. Lucky shot. Anyone can get lucky once. The silence broke. Murmurs from the crowd. The instructor moved between Sarah and Garcia, ready to call things done. But Master Chief Turner stepped forward. Sarah hadn't seen him enter the gym, didn't know how long he'd been watching. Turner's weathered face was carved from stone, his eyes sharp despite his 62 years, fixed on Bennett with an intensity that could melt steel. You're right, Staff Sergeant, Turner said quietly. Once is luck. Anyone can get lucky once. Bennett's smile returned. Exactly what How about 6 times? The gym went silent again. And what Turner said next would force Sarah to bet her entire career on one impossible night. Turner walked to the center of the mat. Every operator in the room knew who he was. Master Chief Robert Turner, legend. A man who'd earned his trident in 1982, who'd fought in Grenada, Panama, Desert Storm, Somalia, Afghanistan, who'd trained 3 generations of SEALs. When Turner spoke, people listened. You have 6 Marines, Staff Sergeant Bennett. Lieutenant Mitchell is 1 SEAL. Turner's voice carried to every corner of the gym. Seems like uneven odds to me. Bennett's expression shifted, uncertain now. Master Chief, I don't think... Here's what I think. Turner turned, addressing the entire gym. We've got 2 weeks of joint training left. We're supposed to be building unit cohesion. But seems to me there's some doubt about standards, about capability, about whether everyone here earned their place. He turned back to Bennett. So let's settle it. Exhibition match. Lieutenant Mitchell versus your entire squad. 1-on-1 matches, 6 consecutive fights, full contact, no time limit per fight except exhaustion. The gym erupted, voices overlapping. SEALs looked stunned, Marines looked eager. Sarah's heart hammered in her chest. 6 fights back to back. She'd never done that, never even trained for that specifically. Bennett recovered quickly, too quickly, like he'd been waiting for something like this. What are the stakes, Master Chief? Turner smiled, the kind of smile that made Sarah nervous. Lieutenant Mitchell wins. You issue a formal apology to every female service member on this base. Written, public, documented in your permanent file. Bennett's jaw tightened. And if she loses? She requests a transfer off SEAL Team 5 and out of Naval Special Warfare entirely. Sarah's blood went cold. Her career. Everything she'd worked for since she was 13 years old. On the line. 1 week to prepare for 6 fights that would determine her future, or end it. The week that followed redefined Sarah's understanding of exhaustion. 4:30 a.m. every morning. Turner waiting outside her barracks room with coffee and a grim expression that said, "Today will be worse than yesterday." He was right. Not normal conditioning. Not SEAL conditioning. Something beyond that. 5-minute grappling rounds against rotating opponents. Fresh seals cycling in debt. Again, Turner barked. You're fighting 6 men back-to-back. 2-minute rest between each. You need to learn to fight exhausted. Every round. Sarah had 30 seconds between rounds to catch her breath, drink water, reset. 10 rounds. 50 minutes of continuous combat. Sarah's lungs burned, her muscles screamed, her brain fogged from oxygen. 10 more rounds. Sarah made it through 7 before she vomited. Turner handed her water. Waited exactly 60 seconds. Again. By the end of day 1, Sarah had completed 25 5-minute rounds. Over 2 hours of continuous grappling. Her body was a collection of bruises and exhaustion. But Turner was just getting started, and what he showed her on day 2 would reveal the true genius of her father's system. Turner opened her father's notebook to page 15. Small joints break before large muscles tear. Target fingers, wrists, elbows, knees. Quick, devastating, move on. No wasted motion, no showing off. They drilled for 14 hours. Just joint manipulation. Turner's hands became targets. Sarah learned to see every finger, every wrist, every elbow as a lever, a fulcrum, a mechanical system designed to fail under the right pressure applied at the right angle. Your dad was an engineer before he was a SEAL, Turner explained. He understood that bodies are just machines. Machines break when you exceed their tolerances. Sarah's hands moved thousands of times. Isolating fingers, hyperextending wrists, finding the precise angles where joints failed. Pain is a signal, Turner said. When you attack a joint, you're sending an overwhelming signal to their brain. The brain's only job is to stop that signal. Everything else, defense, offense, strategy, shuts down. They become prisoners of pain. By the end of day 2, Sarah could feel the mechanics in every joint she touched, could sense the breaking points without thinking. Day 3 would reveal something even more powerful, how to see her opponent's weaknesses before the fight even started. Turner made Sarah observe Bennett's Marines during normal training. Your father's second rule, Turner said, pointing to the notebook. Every warrior has a tell. Find it in 10 seconds. Exploit it in 1 move. Sarah watched, really watched. Sergeant Cooper, they called him Tiny, 6'4", 240 pounds, massive but slow. When he got tired, he dropped his left hand consistently, a habit carved into muscle memory from years of heavy weapons training. Corporal Davis, the sniper, lean, flexible, cocky. Used his reach advantage but exposed his neck when transitioning between strikes. Poor defensive habit. Probably looked cool in the dojo. Would be fatal against someone who noticed. Corporal Martinez, the corpsman, wrestler, college level by the look of his stance. Strong, good pressure, but predictable. Every takedown came from the same setup, the same level change, the same penetration step. Garcia, she'd already fought him. He'd be angry, reckless, want revenge. That made him predictable too. Rodriguez, they called him Hound, pure brawler, street fighter, no formal training, big wind-up on every punch, telegraphed everything 3 moves in advance, and Bennett, the leader, the champion, 12 years of boxing, Golden Gloves winner, technical, smart, disciplined, but there was something else. Sarah watched him throw punches during pad work. His right cross was devastating. His left jab was sharp and fast. But watch long enough and you saw it. The right shoulder. When he fully extended his right hand, just for a split second, his face tightened. Pain. Old injury. Probably a rotator cuff tear that never healed properly. He favored that shoulder subtly, but it was there. Sarah recorded everything in a small notebook. Her father's on one side, her observations on the other. You're not just learning to fight, Turner said. You're learning to win before the fight starts. But day 4 would push Sarah to discover speed she didn't know she had. And by day 5, she'd learn the mental weapon that would matter most when her body wanted to quit. Turner brought in a timer. Your dad used to say, fast beats strong, smart beats fast. But fast and smart? That's unstoppable. They drilled transitions, guard passes, sweeps, submissions, but everything had to flow. No pause, no reset, one technique into the next, into the next. Sarah's body learned to move without thinking. Muscle memory carved into place through repetition, thousands of repetitions. When your opponent moves left, you've already moved right. When they push, you've already pulled. When they think they have you, you're already gone. Phantom. Turner made her drill transitions for 8 hours straight. Her body became fluid, reactive, impossible to pin down. Speed isn't about being fast, Turner said. It's about being gone before they arrive. Turner sat Sarah down, made her close her eyes. Visualize each fight, beginning to end. See yourself winning, feel yourself winning. Your mind can't tell the difference between vivid visualization and real experience. So we give your mind 6 victories before you step on that mat. Sarah visualized. Garcia's overconfident spinning kick, Davis's exposed neck, Martinez's predictable shot, Rodriguez's telegraphed haymaker, Cooper's dropped left hand, Bennett's weak shoulder. She saw herself win 6 times, 6 different ways. Your body will do what your mind has already done, Turner said. But more importantly, when you're exhausted, when you're hurt, when you want to quit, your mind will remember that you've already won, already been here, already survived. Days 6 and 7 would bring recovery and revelation, but they would also bring the weight of what Sarah's father had written in his final entry, words that would carry her through the darkest moments of Saturday night. Barely. Turner made her swim easy distance, 20 laps. Let the cold Pacific water leach the soreness from her muscles. Ice baths for 20 minutes, massage therapy, nutrition, sleep. Tomorrow's the fight, Turner said that evening. Your body needs to be fresh, but your mind needs to be sharp. So tonight, you read. He handed her the notebook. Page 83, your dad's last entry. He wrote it the week before he deployed to Afghanistan. Sarah turned to the page, her father's handwriting slightly shakier than earlier entries. He'd known somehow that this might be his last. Sarah, if you're reading this, I'm probably gone. I'm sorry I won't be there to see you become what I know you'll be, the strongest, smartest, most capable warrior I could imagine. But here's what I need you to remember. Being strong isn't about never falling. It's about standing back up. Being brave isn't about never being scared. It's about fighting anyway. And being a warrior isn't about never crying. It's about crying, wiping your eyes, and getting back to work. I love you, baby girl. Make them remember your name. Dad. Sarah read the words 3 times, then closed the notebook, hugged it to her chest. Tomorrow, 6 Marines would try to break her. Tomorrow, she'd show them what a Mitchell really was. Day 7 arrived with cruel cheerfulness. And by 2,000 hours, 400 people would witness something that would be talked about for decades. But first, Sarah needed one more gift from her father, one that Turner had been saving for this exact moment. Saturday arrived with bright sunshine, 72 degrees, light breeze from the ocean. Perfect Southern California weather. Sarah's stomach felt like lead. 1,800 hours. 2 hours before the fight. She sat alone in her room. Her father's notebook, his trident pin, the worn black belt her father had earned in Krav Maga hanging on the wall, artifacts of a legacy she carried forward. A knock on her door. Come in. Master Chief Turner entered carrying a small bag. His face was serious, professional, but Sarah saw the warmth in his eyes. How you feeling? Terrified. Good. Your dad was terrified before every mission. Said fear kept you sharp, made you careful, only idiots weren't scared. Sarah managed a small smile. He used to tell me that. Turner sat, pulled something from the bag. Black cloth, worn and faded. Your dad wanted you to have this. Made me promise years ago. Said to give it to you when you faced your biggest challenge. He unfolded the cloth. It was a belt, black belt, Krav Maga. The edges frayed from years of use, the black faded to gray in places. This was his. He earned it in 1990, wore it for 15 years, every training session, every deployment. Said it carried his spirit, his technique, everything he'd learned. Turner held it out. Time to pass it on. Sarah took the belt with trembling fingers. The material was soft, worn. She could almost feel her father's hands on it, his sweat, his determination, his love. Thank you, Master Chief. Don't thank me yet. You still have to fight. Turner stood. 2,000 hours. Don't be late. And Sarah, your dad used to say one more thing before missions. What? Pain is just weakness leaving the body. You're about to lose a lot of weakness tonight. In 2 hours, Sarah would walk into that gym wearing her father's belt, and what happened next would become legend. But she had no idea that the real test wouldn't come in the first fight, or even the fifth. The real test would come when her body was broken, her will was fading, and only one thing would keep her standing. The words her father had written 13 years ago. The gymnasium was packed. Every SEAL on base, every Marine, support personnel, officers enlisted, maybe 400 people jammed into a space meant for 200. In the center, a regulation boxing ring, ropes, canvas, proper lighting. The base commander had made this official, sanctioned, legal. Sarah entered through the side door. She wore standard PT gear, black shorts, gray navy t-shirt, no jewelry, no distractions. Her father's black belt tied around her waist. The crowd saw her. Noise dropped by half. Whispers, pointing, speculation. Master Chief Turner waited in her corner. He'd assembled a proper team, 2 SEALs to work her corner, water, towels, medical supplies if needed. Sarah climbed through the ropes. The canvas felt solid under her feet. Real. This was happening. Across the ring, Bennett and his Marines were laughing, loose, confident. Garcia shadowboxing, Davis stretching, Martinez and Rodriguez bumping fists. Cooper, tiny, cracking his massive knuckles. Bennett caught Sarah's eye, smiled, mouthed 2 words, try crying. Sarah stared back. Stone, water, air. The base commander climbed into the ring. Captain Harrison carried a microphone. Good evening. What we're about to witness is an exhibition match sanctioned under regulations governing hand-to-hand combat training. Medical personnel are standing by. Rules are simple. Standard MMA regulations. No strikes to groin or throat, no eye gouging or fish hooking. Match continues until submission, knockout, or referee stoppage. He paused, let the gravity settle. Lieutenant Mitchell will face 6 opponents consecutively. 2-minute rest between each match. Fight order has been determined by rank, lowest to highest. Harrison looked at Sarah. Lieutenant, do you accept these terms? Yes, sir. Staff Sergeant Bennett, do your Marines accept these terms? Yes, sir. Can't wait, sir. Then let's begin. First match, Lieutenant Sarah Mitchell versus Corporal Diego Garcia. The crowd roared. Sarah walked to her corner knowing that the next 25 minutes would determine her future. But what she didn't know was that Garcia had spent the entire week planning his revenge, and he'd prepared something special for their rematch. Sarah walked to her corner. Turner grabbed her shoulders. Remember everything. Fast beats strong, technique beats size, and you've already beaten him once. He'll be angry this time. Good. Angry makes mistakes. You stay calm, stay technical, end it quick, 5 more after him. Sarah nodded, breathed, felt her heartbeat slow despite the adrenaline. Corporal Garcia entered the ring. He'd removed his shirt, lean muscles, taekwondo tattoo on his ribs. He bounced on his toes, eager. The referee, a senior SEAL instructor, called them to center. I want a clean fight. Protect yourselves at all times. Touch gloves. They touched gloves. Sarah's hands looked tiny. "Ready?" The referee raised his arm. "Fight!" Garcia came forward fast. Feint jab, feint low kick, setting up his spinning back kick. Sarah knew it was coming. Had visualized this exact sequence 100 times. The spin started. Beautiful technique, fast, powerful. Sarah stepped inside the arc, let his momentum carry him past. Garcia completed the spin slightly off balance. Sarah hooked his lead leg. Simple sweep using his forward motion. Garcia crashed hard. Sarah dropped into side control. Garcia bridged immediately, trying to create space. But Sarah had already trapped his near arm, her legs wrapped around his neck and shoulder. Arm triangle choke, exactly like their first match, but tighter this time. Faster. No hesitation. Garcia's eyes widened. His free hand pushed against her shoulder, trying to create space. Sarah used that push, rolled them, ended up mounted on his chest. The choke locked deeper. Garcia's face turned red, purple. He tapped. 3 quick slaps against the canvas. Sarah released, stood. Garcia gasped and coughed. The crowd erupted. 15 seconds, first fight done, 5 more to go. But Sarah's breathing was already elevated. And Turner knew something the crowd didn't. The real challenge wasn't winning. It was winning 6 times, while exhaustion compounded with every fight. Garcia left the ring holding his throat. His teammates helped him to a bench. Sarah watched him go. 1 down, 5 to go. Her breathing was controlled, heart rate already dropping back to normal. Turner handed her water. "Drink, small sips. 2 minutes goes fast." Sarah drank. The water was cold, perfect. She glanced at the crowd. 400 faces. Some stunned, some excited. The SEALs were cheering. The Marines quieter now, less certain. Bennett stood with his remaining fighters. His expression had shifted. Not quite worried yet, but the easy confidence had cracked. The referee called time. 2-minute rest complete. Next match, Lieutenant Mitchell versus Lance Corporal Antonio Rodriguez. Rodriguez entered the ring with murder in his eyes. They called him Hound for good reason, and what he was about to do would test whether Sarah's training could handle raw, uncontrolled violence. Rodriguez entered the ring. They called him Hound for good reason. 6'1", 200 pounds of muscle, and bad intentions. Tattoos covering both arms. Broken nose that had healed crooked. Street fighter written all over him. He didn't bounce or showboat like Garcia. Just walked to center ring with a predator's focus. "Ain't nothing personal, ma'am," he said as they touched gloves. "Just doing my job." "I understand, Corporal." The referee stepped back. "Fight!" Rodriguez charged immediately. No technique, no setup. Just raw aggression. A wild right hook aimed at Sarah's head, the kind of punch that would end the fight if it landed. Sarah had watched him train all week, knew this was coming. Every punch Rodriguez threw started the same way. Big wind-up, telegraphed from 3 moves away. Powerful, but predictable. She stepped inside the arc of his swing, let his fist pass over her shoulder close enough to feel the wind. Rodriguez's momentum carried him forward, off balance, committed. Sarah moved with him, used his own force. Classic judo hip throw. Her hip became a fulcrum, his body mass became leverage, physics and timing instead of strength. Rodriguez went airborne. His eyes widened in surprise. Then he hit the canvas hard. 200 pounds of Marine slamming into mat from 4 feet up. The impact drove the air from his lungs. Sarah heard the wheeze. But Rodriguez was tough. Started to push up immediately, trying to get back to his feet, back to his comfortable striking range. Sarah didn't let him. Dropped onto his back as he rose to hands and knees. Wrapped her legs around his waist, arms snaking around his throat before he could defend. Rear naked choke. One arm across the throat, the other hand gripping her own bicep. Rodriguez's neck trapped in the V, the carotid arteries compressed. Blood flow to brain cutting off. Rodriguez's hands came up, grabbed her forearm, tried to pull it away. He was strong, much stronger than Sarah. His grip felt like iron. But strength didn't matter here. The choke was locked. Proper technique, perfect angles. No amount of pulling would break it. Rodriguez tried to stand. Sarah's legs locked tighter around his waist. He managed to get one foot under him, then the other. Actually stood up with Sarah on his back like a backpack. The crowd gasped. Rodriguez stumbled forward, trying to ram Sarah into the corner post, trying to crush her, trying anything. Sarah squeezed tighter, felt his pulse hammering against her forearm, fast at first, then slower. His steps became unsteady. "Tap, Corporal," she whispered. "It's over." Rodriguez shook his head, stubborn, proud, refusing to submit to a woman even as consciousness slipped away. His legs wobbled, buckled. They went down together. Sarah held the choke, held it tight, professional, controlled, knowing exactly how much pressure, how long to maintain it. Rodriguez's arms went slack. His body went limp. The referee rushed in, checked his eyes, waved frantically. "Stop! Stop! He's out!" Sarah released immediately, rolled away, knelt while the medical team rushed the ring. Rodriguez lay unconscious, face purple, breathing, but gone. The crowd had gone silent. This wasn't sport anymore. This was something dangerous, something real. And Sarah had just put a man to sleep. But what she didn't realize was that her body was already starting to break down, and she had 4 more fights to go. Medical personnel worked on Rodriguez. 30 seconds later, his eyes fluttered open. Confusion, disorientation, then awareness. He looked at Sarah. Something like respect flickered across his face before embarrassment replaced it. They helped him from the ring. Sarah stood. Her legs felt heavy now. 2 fights, 2 submissions. But she'd had to hold that choke longer than expected. Had to work harder than the first match. Turner grabbed her shoulders. "Good. Perfect technique. But you're breathing harder. Drink more. Sit down." Sarah sat on the corner stool. Drank. Her arms tingled. Adrenaline and lactic acid. She had 4 more fights. 4 more men. Each one bigger, stronger, more skilled. "Stay focused," Turner said. "Don't think about the next 4. Just the next one." The referee called time. "Next match, Lieutenant Mitchell versus Corporal Brian Martinez." Martinez entered the ring with a wrestler's confidence and a game plan. He'd watched 2 teammates lose. He wouldn't make their mistakes. But what he didn't know was that Sarah had studied him for 3 days straight, and she'd found the one weakness that would end him. Martinez entered the ring. The corpsman, 6 feet even, 185 pounds, broad shoulders and thick legs. Sarah had watched him wrestle during training. College level, maybe Division I. His takedowns were powerful, his top pressure suffocating. But wrestlers had patterns, predictable sequences carved into muscle memory through thousands of hours on the mat. Martinez would shoot, would try to take her down, would try to use his weight and strength to pin her, to grind her out. Sarah stood, her legs protested. Already tired, she pushed the thought away. They touched gloves. Martinez's grip was firm but respectful. "Good fight so far, ma'am, but this one's mine." "We'll see, Corporal. Fight." Martinez circled, cautious. He'd watched the first 2 matches, knew Sarah was dangerous, knew rushing in was a mistake. He worked angles, probed with his hands, looking for an opening, a moment to shoot. Sarah circled opposite, maintaining distance, watching his level, his hips, the telltale signs of a takedown attempt. 30 seconds passed. Neither committed. The crowd grew restless, wanted action. Martinez faked a jab, then dropped his level, shot in low, a perfect double-leg takedown attempt. Fast, explosive. His shoulder aimed at Sarah's hips, his hands reaching for her legs. Sarah had seen it coming. The slight weight shift, the drop in elevation. Half a second of warning. She sprawled, hip pressure driving down on his shoulders, legs shooting back, making herself heavy. Dead weight. Martinez's takedown stalled. His hands grabbed at air. Sarah circled behind him, took his back while he was still on hands and knees, exactly where she'd been with Rodriguez. But Martinez was better than Rodriguez. Technical. He sat to his hip, tried to turn into her, tried to get back to guard position. Sarah read the movement, wrapped her legs around his waist, locked a body triangle, her foot hooked behind her opposite knee, creating a figure four that couldn't be broken. Martinez tried to hand fight, tried to prevent her from getting to his neck. His defensive wrestling was good, hands protecting his throat, elbows tight. Sarah didn't go for the choke. She controlled his posture instead. One hand on his forehead, pulling back, exposing his face. Her other hand came over his shoulder, short punches, controlled but firm, striking from back mount. The punches weren't meant to knock him out, weren't meant to hurt badly. But they were legal, and they were effective. 1, 2, 3, 4. Accurate strikes to the side of his head, his temple, his jaw. Martinez tried to defend, tried to cover up, but doing so exposed his neck. Sarah felt the moment, the opening. Her arms snaked in, but Martinez pulled his chin down. Good defense. More strikes. 5, 6, 7. Martinez's arms were tiring, defending punches, trying to escape, burning energy at a rate he couldn't sustain. The referee watched closely, looking for signs, for safety, for the moment when defense became just survival. Sarah's strikes kept coming. Rhythm, pressure, relentless. Martinez's guard dropped, just a fraction, just enough. The referee stepped in. Stop! Stop! TKO! 2 minutes and 8 seconds. 3 down, halfway. But Sarah's shoulders were burning now, and her legs felt like concrete. And the hardest fights were still ahead. Martinez was conscious, unhurt, except for his pride and a ringing in his ears. But he'd been unable to defend, unable to improve position. The referee's job was to protect fighters. He'd done it. Martinez looked frustrated, angry at himself. He'd known better, should have defended better, should have turned faster. Sarah helped him up. Good match, Corporal. Your wrestling is solid. Not solid enough. Martinez shook his head, left the ring. Sarah's corner. Turner with the water, with the towel. 3 down, halfway. How you feeling? Tired. No point lying. Good. Embrace it. They're tired watching. You're tired doing. But you're winning. Keep winning. Sarah sat. Her shoulders burned. Her legs felt like concrete. 3 fights, maybe 8 minutes of actual combat, but 8 minutes of maximum output, of technique, of control, of violence. She'd never done this before. Never fought 3 trained opponents back to back. Her preparation had included the concept, the training. But training wasn't reality. Reality was sitting here breathing hard, knowing 3 more men waited to hurt her. She thought about her father, about Mogadishu. 4 fighters, 11 minutes, 3 broken ribs, dislocated shoulder, concussion. He'd done it for 11 minutes. She could do it for maybe 15 total, maybe 20. She had to. The referee called time. Next match, Lieutenant Mitchell versus Corporal Ryan Davis. Davis entered with a striker's confidence, technical, precise, the best pure martial artist in Bennett's squad. And unlike the others, he wouldn't rush, wouldn't make mistakes. He'd make Sarah come to him, and in her exhausted state, that could be fatal. Davis entered carefully. The sniper, 5'11", 180 pounds, lean and flexible, Muay Thai trained. Sarah had watched him the most during recon week. He was technical, smart, the best pure striker in Bennett's squad. This would be a real fight, not a mismatch, not an easy submission. Davis was close to her weight. His training was legitimate, and he'd watched 3 teammates lose. He knew what Sarah could do. They met at center ring, touched gloves. Davis's expression was serious, focused. Respect, ma'am. But I'm not going out like they did. I understand. Fight! Davis started orthodox, traditional Muay Thai stance. Hands high, elbows tight, weight distributed evenly. He didn't rush, didn't showboat, just moved. Professional. Sarah circled, stayed in her stance, hands protecting her head, watching his eyes, his shoulders, his hips. Davis threw a low kick. Testing. Sarah checked it. Shin to shin. The impact echoed through the gym. Another low kick, another check. Davis was working, building rhythm, setting patterns, making Sarah react to his strikes so she wouldn't see the real attack. 40 seconds of careful exchange. Low kicks, teep kicks. Both fighters technical, both measuring distance. The crowd leaned forward. This looked like an actual fight between trained martial artists. Davis threw an elbow, fast, well disguised. Sarah slipped it, barely, felt the wind. She countered with a jab. Davis blocked. They separated, more circling, more measuring. A minute had passed, both still fresh enough, still dangerous. Davis threw a combination, jab, cross, low kick. Proper mechanics, proper form. Sarah blocked the first two, checked the kick. Then Davis threw a knee, aimed at her midsection, fast, committed. Sarah caught it, both hands on his shin. And in that split second, Davis realized he'd made his first mistake, his only mistake, and it would be his last. Davis's eyes widened. He'd committed to the technique, was balanced on one leg. Sarah twisted, used his momentum, off-balanced him. Davis tried to recover, tried to hop back, tried to pull free. Sarah jumped, a flying technique she'd drilled 1,000 times with Turner. Wrapped her legs around Davis's neck and arm while airborne. They crashed to the canvas together. Sarah's legs locked around Davis's neck, one leg across his throat, the other hooked behind his head. His own arm trapped against his neck by her leg. The classic triangle configuration. Davis was good. Immediately started working defense, posture, pressure, trying to stand, trying to slam her, trying anything to create space. But Sarah had the angle, had the position. She grabbed her own shin, pulled down, tightened the triangle. The choke compressed Davis's carotid from multiple directions. Davis fought for 30 seconds, 40, 50. His face turned red, sweat dripping, breathing labored. Finally, he tapped. 1 minute and 44 seconds. Sarah released. Davis rolled away, gasping. He stayed on the canvas for a moment. Hands on his throat. Then he stood, walked to Sarah, extended his fist. That was textbook, ma'am. Respect. Sarah bumped his fist. You're a good fighter, Corporal. Best I've faced tonight. Not good enough. But he smiled, slight, genuine, left the ring with his dignity intact. The crowd was roaring now. 4 men defeated, 4 trained combat Marines, back to back. But Turner saw what the crowd didn't. Sarah's arms were shaking, her legs disconnected. She had 2 fights left, the biggest opponent and the best. And her body was approaching failure. Sarah had beaten 4 men, 4 trained combat Marines, back to back, made it look inevitable. But Sarah knew the truth. She was exhausted. Her arms shook. Her legs felt distant, disconnected. 4 fights in maybe 14 minutes. Her body was approaching its limit. Turner knew it too. 2 left. The biggest and the best. This is where champions are made, Sarah. This is where Mitchells don't quit. Sarah nodded. Couldn't speak. Just drank water, breathed, tried to recover in 2 minutes what her body needed 2 hours to restore. Across the ring, the 2 remaining Marines were talking. Sergeant Cooper, the giant, and Staff Sergeant Bennett, the champion. Cooper looked nervous. He'd just watched 4 teammates lose, all bigger than Sarah, all trained fighters, all confident, all beaten. Bennett's expression was unreadable. Stone. He was measuring, calculating, adjusting his assessment. The referee called time. Next match, Lieutenant Mitchell versus Sergeant Tyler Cooper. Cooper stood 6'4", 240 pounds, 115 pounds heavier than Sarah. the biggest man she'd ever fought. And he had one advantage she couldn't overcome. He was fresh, rested, ready. While Sarah's body was breaking down, Cooper was just beginning. What happened next would require every ounce of technique, intelligence, and will Sarah had left. Cooper stood 6'4", 240 pounds. The biggest man Sarah would face tonight, the biggest she'd ever fought, period. 115 pounds heavier than her, 13 inches taller, reach like a gorilla. He climbed through the ropes. The ring shook slightly under his weight. Sarah stood, her legs barely cooperated. She locked her knees, willed herself upright. They met at center. Cooper looked down at her, looked apologetic. "Ma'am, I don't want to hurt you." "Then don't, Sergeant, just fight." They touched gloves. Cooper's hands were enormous, made Sarah's look like a child's. "Fight!" Cooper stalked forward slowly, careful. He'd learned from watching. Knew rushing was death. His reach advantage was massive. He could control the center, control the distance, make Sarah come to him. Sarah circled. Her footwork felt sluggish. 4 fights of lactic acid accumulation, of micro-trauma, of exhaustion eating at her speed. Cooper threw a jab, long, snapping. Sarah pulled back. The fist passed an inch from her face. Another jab. She slipped. Cooper was testing range, establishing control. 30 seconds. Cooper had barely moved, just worked his jab. Patient, smart, using his size exactly right. Sarah needed to get inside, needed to close distance. But she was tired. Cooper was fresh. He could keep her at range forever. Pick her apart from distance. Wait for her to make a mistake. 45 seconds. Cooper threw another jab. Sarah slipped outside, tried to close. Cooper circled away, maintained distance. 1 minute. The crowd was getting restless. This was slower, more technical, less exciting than the previous fights. But Sarah was thinking, watching. Cooper was big, was strong, but he was slow. And when he got tired, when his arms got heavy from holding them up, he dropped his left hand. She'd seen it during training. The habit was there. She just had to make him tired. Sarah pressed forward, more aggressive, forced Cooper to work, to jab more, to move more, to keep his hands up. Cooper obliged, through combinations, nothing fancy, just basic boxing. But effective when you had an 80-inch reach, 1 minute 30. Cooper was breathing harder. His arms had been up for 90 seconds. Holding up 240 pounds of muscle required energy. Required oxygen. Sarah watched his left hand. Still up. Still protecting his jaw. Still disciplined. 1 minute 45. Cooper threw a right cross, big, powerful. Sarah ducked under, felt it pass over her head, and there it was. Just for a second. Cooper's left hand dropped 6 inches, maybe 8, recovering from the big right hand, the habit asserting itself through fatigue. Sarah moved, didn't think, just reacted. What happened in the next 2 seconds would be the most spectacular moment of the night, and the most dangerous. If she mistimed it by even a fraction, Cooper's 240 pounds would crush her. But if she hit it perfectly, Sarah stepped inside Cooper's guard, got past his reach, jumped. One of the most spectacular techniques in submission grappling. One of the most difficult to execute. Sarah's body horizontal in midair, her legs wrapping around Cooper's extended right arm, all her weight falling backward. Cooper's eyes went wide. He tried to pull back, but his arm was trapped. Sarah's legs locked around it, her hips pressed against his elbow joint. They crashed to the canvas. Sarah's momentum and body weight pulled Cooper forward. He fell to his knees, his arm hyperextended, the elbow joint bent the wrong way. The pop was audible. Cooper screamed, tapped frantically with his free hand, slapping the canvas over and over. Sarah released instantly, rolled away. Cooper clutched his elbow, face twisted in pain. Medical team rushing the ring. 2 minutes and 17 seconds. David beats Goliath. Physics beats strength. 5 men down. But Sarah's body was shutting down. Her legs wouldn't stop shaking. Her vision was blurring, and she had one fight left. The hardest fight. Against the man who'd started all this. Against Staff Sergeant Marcus Bennett. Fresh, rested, and now fully aware of just how dangerous Sarah Mitchell really was. The crowd had erupted. The noise was deafening. Sarah couldn't hear herself think, couldn't hear anything except the ringing in her ears and her own heartbeat. Turner pulled her to the corner, sat her down, shoved water in her hands. "Drink, breathe. You've got 2 minutes and one more fight." Sarah drank. Her hands were shaking, adrenaline, exhaustion, emotion. 5 men, 5 victories, 15 minutes of combat. Every technique her father had taught her, every principle he'd written, every drill she'd run with Turner. It had worked, all of it. Phantom Protocol had worked. But she had one fight left, the hardest fight, against the best fighter. Staff Sergeant Marcus Bennett, 6'2", 195 pounds, Golden Gloves boxer, 12 years of competition experience, undefeated in military tournaments. And he was fresh, hadn't fought yet, had spent the last 20 minutes watching, learning, adjusting his game plan. Sarah looked across the ring. Bennett was doing arm circles, loosening up. His face was focused. All the arrogance gone, replaced by professional assessment. He'd underestimated her. All of them had. But Bennett was smart enough to learn from mistakes. He wouldn't rush, wouldn't be predictable, wouldn't give her the easy openings the others had provided. This would be a war. The medical team helped Cooper from the ring. His elbow would need x-rays, maybe surgery, but he'd recover. Sarah had controlled the submission, had released the moment he tapped. Professional, precise. Cooper looked at her as they passed, nodded. Respect from one warrior to another. The referee checked with Sarah. "Lieutenant, you able to continue?" "Yes, sir." "Last match, 3-minute rounds, you understand?" Sarah nodded. 3-minute rounds with 1-minute rest. If neither fighter finished, judges would score. But Sarah knew Bennett wouldn't let it go to judges. Neither would she. The referee waved Bennett forward. "Final match. Lieutenant Sarah Mitchell versus Staff Sergeant Marcus Bennett. Touch gloves. Keep it clean." Bennett met Sarah at center ring. Up close, he looked bigger. His reach advantage was significant. His shoulders were thick. His stance, perfect. They touched gloves. Bennett's expression was neutral, professional. "You've earned my respect tonight, Lieutenant. But this ends now." "We'll see, Staff Sergeant." The referee stepped back, raised his hand. "Fight!" What happened in the next 6 minutes would push Sarah Mitchell beyond anything she'd ever experienced. Beyond exhaustion. Beyond pain. Beyond technique. To a place where only one thing mattered, the warrior's heart, and whether hers could beat Bennett's. Bennett didn't rush, didn't charge, didn't make the mistakes his Marines had made. He started in a textbook boxing stance, orthodox, left foot forward, hands protecting his head, weight balanced. He threw a jab, fast, snapping. Sarah slipped it. Bennett threw another. She slipped that too. He was working, establishing rhythm, testing range, building combinations. This was technical boxing, not brawling, not wild swinging. This was skill versus skill. Sarah circled, tried to stay outside, tried to conserve energy. Her body was screaming. 5 fights, 17 minutes, maybe 30 seconds of actual rest. Bennett pressed forward, threw a 1-2 combination. Jab, cross. Sarah blocked the jab. The cross glanced off her shoulder, stung, real power behind it. He threw a hook. Sarah ducked, came up inside his guard. Tried to clinch, tried to take him down. Bennett sprawled. Good wrestling defense for a boxer. He pushed her away, reset to striking range. 30 seconds. Bennett was controlling the pace, controlling the distance, making Sarah react to him. Another combination. Jab, jab, cross, hook. The last hook caught Sarah on the ear. Her head snapped sideways. Stars burst across her vision. The crowd gasped. Bennett pressed, smelled blood. Another combination. Sarah covered up, blocked most of it. But a jab got through, split her lip. She tasted copper. 1 minute. Bennett was winning, landing the cleaner shots. Sarah was tired, slow, her reactions a half step behind. Bennett threw a straight right. Sarah slipped outside, countered with a low kick, caught his lead leg. Bennett absorbed it. Didn't check. Just ate the kick and threw a cross that snapped Sarah's head back. The round felt endless. Sarah was losing. For the first time all night she was losing. And if she lost this fight, she lost everything. Her career, her father's legacy, everything. But somewhere in her exhausted mind, she heard Turner's voice. When you're hurt, when you're tired, when you can't go on, that's when Mitchells show what they're made of. 2 minutes. Another combination caught Sarah clean. Right eye swelling, lip bleeding. Her vision was blurring. 2 minutes 30. Bennett threw a long jab. Sarah slipped it. Saw an opening. Bennett's right shoulder. For just a split second, his guard dropped as he extended. The old injury. The weakness she'd identified. But she was too tired. Too slow. The moment passed before she could capitalize. The bell rang. 3 minutes, round 1 complete. Sarah stumbled to her corner, collapsed onto the stool. Turner was there. Water, towel, ice for her eye. "He's winning," Sarah gasped. "I can't touch him." "Yes, you can. He's favoring that right shoulder. I saw it twice." He winced. "You saw it too." "Stop trying to outbox him. You can't. You're a grappler. Get inside. Take him down. Make it your fight." "I'm too tired." "Then be tired on top of him. Be tired while you're choking him. But don't be tired while he's punching you in the face." Turner grabbed her chin, made her look at him. "Your father fought for 11 minutes. You fought for 20. But this is the fight that matters. This is the one people will remember. Give them something to remember." The referee called time. 1 minute rest complete. Sarah stood. Her legs barely held her. She walked to center ring. Bennett looked fresh, confident, not even breathing hard. He'd controlled the first round completely. "Round 2, fight!" Bennett came forward with the same technical precision, the same control, but Sarah was done running, done surviving. It was time to fight her fight. Time to show Bennett what happened when you pushed a Mitchell too far. Time to end this. Bennett came forward immediately. Same technical boxing, same discipline. He threw a jab. Sarah slipped. He threw another. She slipped again. But this time, instead of circling away, Sarah pressed forward, got inside his reach. Bennett tried to tie her up, push her away like before. Sarah grabbed his right arm, pulled, used his own push against him. Simple judo principle. When they push, you pull. Bennett's balance shifted, just slightly, just enough. Sarah hooked his leg, dropped her weight. Basic trip. Nothing fancy. They went down together. Bennett tried to land in guard, tried to control her from bottom, but Sarah passed immediately. Years of grappling experience taking over. She got to side control. Bennett bucked, tried to create space, tried to stand. Sarah moved with him, flowed like water, got to his back as he turned. Now she had the position she wanted. Bennett, face down, Sarah on his back. Her legs wrapped around his waist, her hooks in. Bennett was a good boxer, but he was not a good grappler. He tried to stand, pushed up with his hands. Sarah went with him, stayed glued to his back. They got to their knees, Bennett still trying to shake her. But Sarah's legs were locked. Body triangle. Unbreakable. Her arms worked for his neck. Bennett defended well, chin down, hands protecting his throat. Boxing fundamentals saved him for now. But Sarah was patient. She could feel his heart hammering, could feel his breathing getting labored. He was working hard to defend, to escape, burning energy he didn't have. She threw short punches to his ribs, legal strikes from back mount. Not hard enough to hurt badly, just annoying, just making him uncomfortable, making him react. Bennett tried to hand fight, tried to grab her wrists. That opened his neck slightly. Sarah's arm snaked in, got under his chin. Her other hand grabbed her own bicep. Rear naked choke. The same submission that had finished Rodriguez. But Bennett's chin was down. Good defense. The choke wasn't fully locked. Sarah squeezed anyway, compressed his jaw, made it hurt, made him miserable. 30 seconds of battle, Bennett defending, Sarah attacking, neither willing to give. Then Bennett made a mistake. Tired, frustrated, hurt. He tried to pull Sarah's arm away from his throat, used both hands, committed fully to breaking the choke. That removed his hands from his neck defense. Sarah adjusted immediately, got her forearm deeper, across his throat now, not his jaw. The choke locked properly. Bennett felt it, knew it. His eyes went wide. He tried to tuck his chin again. Too late. The choke was in. He had maybe 10 seconds before he went unconscious. Maybe less. Sarah could feel his pulse against her forearm. Fast. Desperate. Bennett didn't tap. Stubborn. Proud. The same pride that had started this entire confrontation. The same arrogance that had made him say, "Try not to cry, princess." 5 seconds. Bennett's movements got sluggish, uncoordinated. 3 seconds. His arms went slack. The referee rushed in, checked Bennett's eyes, waved frantically. "Stop! Stop! He's out!" Sarah released, rolled away. Bennett collapsed face first onto the canvas, unconscious, beaten. The gymnasium exploded. 400 people on their feet. The noise was physical, a wave of sound. Sarah knelt on the canvas, body broken, will intact. 6 men, 6 victories, 22 minutes of combat. The impossible made real, but she couldn't celebrate yet. She had to make sure Bennett understood what had just happened and why it mattered. The gymnasium exploded. 400 people on their feet, screaming, cheering. The noise was physical, a wave of sound that washed over everything. Sarah knelt on the canvas. Couldn't stand yet. Her body had nothing left. She'd given everything, every technique, every principle, every ounce of strength and will. 6 men, 6 victories, 22 minutes of combat against bigger, stronger, experienced fighters. And she'd won. All of them. Medical team revived Bennett. It took longer this time. 30 seconds of unconsciousness. His eyes fluttered open. Confusion. Disorientation. Then awareness. Then shame. He looked at Sarah, still kneeling 10 feet away. Their eyes met. And in that moment, something passed between them. Understanding, recognition, respect. Sarah stood, legs shaking, walked over, extended her hand. Bennett stared at it, pride warring with honor. Finally, he took it. Let her help him up. The crowd's roar intensified, SEALs chanting, "Phantom! Phantom! Phantom!" Sarah raised Bennett's hand alongside her own, warriors recognizing warriors. The gesture quieted the crowd slightly. Bennett leaned close, spoke so only Sarah could hear. "I was wrong. About everything." Sarah nodded. "I know." "How?" "Because you're still here, still standing. Most men would have tapped. You fought until you went unconscious. That's a warrior, Staff Sergeant. Gender doesn't change that." Bennett's eyes were wet, not quite crying, not quite able to hold it back. "Try not to cry, princess." "That's what I said." Sarah smiled, blood on her teeth from her split lip, swelling, closing her right eye. "And here I am, not crying, just winning." The referee raised Sarah's hand. Official, documented, witnessed by 400 personnel. She'd done what everyone said was impossible, had proven what her father always knew. That technique beats strength, intelligence beats size, and heart beats everything. Master Chief Turner climbed into the ring, grabbed Sarah in a fierce hug. "Your dad is watching, kiddo, and he is so damn proud." Sarah finally let herself feel it. The exhaustion, the pain, the emotion, but not tears. Not yet. Warriors didn't cry during the mission, and this mission wasn't quite over. What came next would prove that the real victory wasn't in winning. It was in what happened after, in whether a man could truly change, whether honor could overcome pride, and whether Sarah's fight had changed just her life or something bigger. The gymnasium slowly emptied over the next 30 minutes. Medical personnel checked Sarah and Bennett thoroughly, vitals, pupils, coordination, standard protocol for any match that ended in unconsciousness. Sarah sat on the ring apron, ice pack pressed against her swollen right eye. Her lip was split, but shallow. Her body felt like it had been through an industrial shredder. Every muscle screamed. Her hands trembled from adrenaline crash and exhaustion. But she'd won 6 fights, 6 victories, the impossible made real. Bennett sat across the ring, his own ice pack against his throat where the choke had compressed. Sarah could see the weight in his posture, the crushing realization of being wrong, of having his worldview shattered in front of 400 witnesses. Captain Harrison approached. His expression was carefully neutral, but Sarah caught the hint of pride at the corners of his mouth. "Lieutenant Mitchell, impressive performance. Medical says you're cleared. No serious injuries." "Thank you, sir. Staff Sergeant Bennett has agreed to honor the terms of your wager. Monday morning, 0800, full base formation. He'll issue his apology then." Harrison paused. "You've proven something tonight that goes beyond physical capability. You've proven that excellence transcends preconceptions." After Harrison left, Sarah and Bennett sat in the emptying gymnasium. The silence between them wasn't hostile anymore, just heavy, weighted with everything that had happened. Finally, Bennett spoke without looking at her. "You could have tapped me. Let me save face. You chose the choke over the armbar. Made me go unconscious instead of just hurting my arm like you did to Cooper." Sarah considered this. "You wouldn't have learned anything from an armbar. You needed to wake up on that canvas. Needed to understand what it feels like to lose completely. No excuses, no luck. Just better technique winning." Bennett nodded slowly. "Rachel would have liked you." Sarah waited. "My sister. She wanted to be a Marine. I told her she was too weak, too small, that she'd get people killed." His voice cracked. "She died before I could apologize. Before I could tell her I was wrong. I've spent 8 years making sure no woman proved me wrong about her. Because if they could do it, it meant she could have too. And I destroyed her dream for nothing." The confession hung in the air, and Sarah realized that this fight had never really been about her. It had been about Bennett's sister, about his guilt, about 8 years of grief turned into anger, turned into prejudice. What she said next would determine whether this night changed one man or started something bigger. Sarah let the confession settle before responding. "Your sister didn't die because of your words, but every day you spend trying to prevent capable women from serving. That dishonors her memory more than anything." I know that now." Bennett finally looked at her. "Teach me your system, Phantom Protocol. Let me pass it on. Let me make sure the next Rachel doesn't face what mine did. What you did." Sarah extended her hand. Bennett took it. Not a handshake, a pact. "Tuesday morning, 0600, bring your squad." The weekend passed in recovery. Ice baths, massage therapy, sleep. Sarah's body needed time to heal from 22 minutes of maximum violence. By Monday morning, she could walk without limping, could see through both eyes, could face what came next, 500 personnel in dress uniforms. The entire base assembled, officers and enlisted, SEALs and support staff, 6 Marines standing behind their squad leader. Sarah stood at parade rest beside Captain Harrison, Master Chief Turner behind her. The morning sun was already warm. Bennett marched to the podium in immaculate dress blues, every ribbon perfectly aligned, but his face showed the strain of what he was about to do. "Good morning. I'm Staff Sergeant Marcus Bennett, United States Marine Corps, Force Recon. I stand before you to issue a formal apology. His voice carried across the parade ground. Strong, clear, no hesitation. Lieutenant Sarah Mitchell, every female service member on this base, every woman who has ever worn the uniform of the United States Armed Forces. I was wrong. He paused. Let the words settle. I was completely, utterly, inexcusably wrong. I dismissed a fellow warrior based solely on gender. I allowed personal demons to become professional judgment. I said things designed to humiliate rather than evaluate. Bennett's hands trembled slightly. Saturday night, Lieutenant Mitchell defeated my entire squad, 6 trained Marines back-to-back while exhausted. She did it with technique, discipline, and warrior spirit that humbles me. She proved that capability has nothing to do with gender and everything to do with dedication and skill. He turned, faced Sarah directly. Lieutenant Mitchell, you are everything a warrior should be. I'm sorry for doubting you. I'm sorry for trying to break you. You have my deepest apology and my highest respect. Bennett saluted. Perfect. Crisp. Sarah returned it. The applause started with the SEALs, spread through the formation. Even some Marines joined in. The apology was public, official. But what came next would prove whether words could become action, whether prejudice could become partnership, and whether Sarah's victory would echo beyond one base, one night, one fight. 8 weeks transformed Bennett's squad. Sarah taught them Phantom Protocol every morning, showed them how technique could overcome size disadvantages, how intelligence could defeat raw strength. Bennett became her best student. He approached training with obsessive focus, wanted to understand not just the techniques but the principles, why they worked, how they worked. They became something unexpected, friends, the kind forged through conflict and resolution, through respect earned in blood and sweat. Sarah discovered she enjoyed teaching, breaking down her father's system, explaining the physics, watching understanding dawn in students' eyes. Then came the Tuesday morning that changed everything. Sarah was running the obstacle course with Bennett's squad when Captain Harrison found her. Lieutenant Mitchell, conference room, immediately. Bring Staff Sergeant Bennett. They jogged to the admin building. The conference room held senior officers and a civilian whose suit screamed CIA. Sit. Harrison's tone was clipped, professional. We have a situation. Yemen. 8 American contractors taken hostage 3 days ago by a terrorist cell. Intelligence puts them in a compound outside Sana'a. We're assembling a rescue force. SEAL Team 5 leads. Marine Force Recon supports. Harrison's eyes locked on Sarah. Lieutenant Mitchell, you'll command the CQB element, 12 operators, mixed SEAL and Marine. Your mission? Get those hostages out alive. Sarah's heart hammered. A real mission. Lives depending on her decisions. This was what everything had been building toward. The training, the fights, the transformation. But was she ready? And more importantly, would Bennett trust her with his life after everything that had happened? Yes, sir. I accept. Staff Sergeant Bennett, your squad will be part of Lieutenant Mitchell's element, under her command. Problems? Bennett didn't hesitate. No, sir. It's an honor. 72 hours of controlled chaos followed. Intelligence updates, equipment checks, rehearsals. Sarah designed the assault plan using everything she'd learned. Everything her father had written. Everything Turner had taught her. Sarah stood on the deck of USS Winston Churchill as the sun painted the sky orange and red. Master Chief Turner found her at the rail. He'd pulled strings to be here. Wouldn't let her do this without him watching. Your dad stood on a deck like this before Mogadishu, Turner said. Same sunset, same nervous energy. Sarah nodded. I'm scared, Master Chief. What if someone dies because of my call? Then you live with it, like every commander in history. But Sarah, your plan is solid. Your team is ready. Trust yourself. Trust your training. Trust that your dad knew what he was doing when he created Phantom Protocol for you. 12 operators gathered in the hangar bay, full combat gear, weapons, night vision, ready. Sarah stood before them, 12 sets of eyes waiting for her to lead. Gentlemen, 8 Americans are in enemy hands. 4 days of captivity. Every hour increases execution risk. Our job is simple. Get in, get them out, get everyone home alive. She activated the briefing screen. Satellite imagery. 3 buildings. Hostages in the central structure, 2nd floor. Minimum 6 guards. She walked them through every phase, every contingency. Bennett asked sharp questions. The SEALs offered refinements. By the end, everyone knew their role. Rules of engagement, deadly force authorized, but hostage safety is priority 1. If you must choose between taking a shot and risking a hostage, you hold fire. We accept risk to ourselves, never to them. Sarah paused. Questions? None. Gear up. We launch in 30. What happened next would test everything Sarah had learned. Not in a gym with rules and referees, but in the chaos of real combat where mistakes meant death, where leadership wasn't about winning fights, but about bringing everyone home. And where Bennett would face the ultimate question. Could he truly follow a woman into hell? The insertion was flawless. 2 RHIBs hit the beach at 02:15, no contact. The team moved inland, fast, silent. 2 miles in 40 minutes through rough terrain and darkness. Sarah led point, Bennett behind her, the stack following. They reached the compound perimeter at 02:55. Through her night vision, Sarah studied the compound. 3 sentries, bored, smoking, talking, completely unaware. She hand-signaled. 3 SEAL snipers moved into position. Sarah counted down on her fingers. 3, 2, 1. 3 suppressed shots. 3 sentries dropped. Silent. The guards never knew. Sarah moved forward. The stack flowed behind her. They reached the building. Bennett's breaching charge on the door. Silent count. 3, 2, 1. The charge detonated, shaped, precise. The door blew inward. Sarah was first through. HK-4-16 up, night vision painting the world green and white. Hallway clear. She moved. The stack flowed. 12 operators, 1 machine, contact. 3 hostiles in the next room, armed, reacting to the breach. Sarah's weapon spoke. Controlled bursts. 2 rounds, center mass. Target down. Bennett engaged the second. A SEAL took the third. 7 seconds. 3 threats neutralized. They kept moving. Stairs. Sarah led the ascent. Slow, careful. The fatal funnel, but necessary. Top of stairs. Another hallway. Arabic voices, angry, confused. They had maybe 60 seconds. She moved fast now. Cleared the hallway. Found the door, locked. Bennett's shotgun breach. 1 shot to the lock. The door crashed open. 8 Americans inside. Bound. Frightened. Alive. Sarah's team flooded in, cutting zip ties, checking injuries, moving them toward exit, then gunfire from below, more hostiles. The compound was awake, mission compromised. Move! Move! The hostages were mobile, scared but able to run. The team hustled them toward the stairs. Bennett and 3 Marines held rear guard, covering fire, suppressing the enemy, buying time. They reached the stairwell, started down, halfway. Sarah saw movement. Hostile rounding the corner. Weapon rising. Sarah fired first. 2 shots. Threat down. Keep moving. Ground floor. Front door 60 feet away, but the courtyard was lit up. Muzzle flashes everywhere. At least 15 hostiles. Going out front was suicide. Back door! Bennett, find it! Bennett and his Marines peeled off. Sarah and the SEALs held position. Methodical fire, making every round count. Back door located, Bennett's voice. Clear path to exfil. Move! Fighting withdrawal. Hostages center. Operators perimeter. Toward Bennett's position. They burst out the back door into darkness beyond the compound lights. Sarah's team was trained for this. The enemy wasn't. They ran. 2 miles to the beach. The hostages struggled, out of shape, traumatized, but fear gave them speed. 1 mile out, the ambush hit. Muzzle flashes from a ridgeline. 15 hostiles, heavy weapons, PKM machine gun fire tearing up the ground. Sarah's team was pinned. And then everything went wrong. The kind of wrong that tested whether leaders were born or made. The kind that separated those who gave orders from those who gave everything. Muzzle flashes from a ridgeline. 15 hostiles, heavy weapons, PKM machine gun fire tearing up the ground. Sarah's team went prone, returned fire, but they were pinned. Couldn't advance with hostages in the open. Bennett saw it first, the flank, a depression in terrain that led around the ambush. "Hayes, we're flanking!" Bennett's voice. "Suppress for 30! "Roger!" Sarah went full auto. The SEALs followed. Maximum firepower, covering Bennett's movement. Bennett and 4 Marines moved like ghosts. Fast, low. They got behind the ambush. Sarah saw the muzzle flashes shift. Bennett's team engaging from rear. The ambush collapsed, caught between 2 forces. Bennett's team eliminated the threats. Professional, efficient. Then Sarah heard it. Bennett's voice, strained, hurt. "I'm hit. Right leg. Can't walk." Sarah made the decision instantly. The decision that would define her as a leader. The decision her father would have made. "Team, secure hostages. Move them to exfil. I'm going back." "Negative." Turner's voice in her ear from the ship. "Your commander. Send someone else." "Not happening, Master Chief." Sarah was already moving, sprinting toward Bennett. 60 yards, under fire, rounds snapping past her head. She found Bennett behind a rock, right leg bleeding, tourniquet applied, good training, but he couldn't walk. "What are you doing?" Bennett gasped. "Shut up!" Sarah grabbed his vest, deadlifted him, fireman's carry, 195 pounds of Marine on her 125-pound frame. Physics, leverage, technique. She ran. Bennett over her shoulder, legs burning, lungs screaming, incoming fire from multiple directions. Bennett returned fire from his awkward position, covering their retreat, 50 yards, 40, 30. Sarah's vision narrowed, tunnel vision from exertion. She couldn't feel her legs, just kept moving, 1 foot, then the other. 20 yards, team laying, covering fire, creating a safety corridor. 10 yards. Sarah's legs gave out. She collapsed. Bennett rolled free. SEAL medics grabbed him, dragged him the last 10 yards to cover. Sarah gasping, couldn't move. "Air support inbound. 30 seconds, Turner's voice. "Hold position." Sarah keyed her radio. "Copy, holding." F-18, Hornets screamed overhead. 30mm cannons shredded the hostile positions. The incoming fire stopped, instantly. Permanently, exfil helicopters landed on the beach. MH-60s. Sarah helped load the hostages, counted heads. All 8 accounted for. Then her team counted again. 12 operators, all alive. Bennett was last, medics working his leg. He grabbed Sarah's hand as they loaded him. "You saved my life. After everything I did." "You're my Marine now, Staff Sergeant. Warriors don't leave anyone behind." Sarah squeezed his hand. "Besides, we've got training Tuesday. You're not getting out of it." Bennett laughed, then winced. "Yes, ma'am." The helicopters lifted off. Yemen falling away. Mission success. 8 hostages rescued. 0 American KIA, 1 WIA. He'd recover. Sarah sat against the bulkhead, closed her eyes. Let exhaustion take her. She'd done it. Led a real mission. Saved lives. Proven her father's system worked. Not just in training, but in actual combat, where it mattered most. But the real test wasn't over, because 6 months later, Sarah would face a choice that would define the rest of her life. A choice between proving herself again, or finally letting herself be human. And Master Chief Turner was about to tell her something about her father that would change everything. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Mitchell stood in a DevGru training facility at Dam Neck Annex, Virginia Beach. The promotion had come with the assignment, SEAL Team 6, the most elite unit in naval special warfare. The Yemen mission had made her career. The Navy recognized her leadership. her tactical acumen, her ability to unite diverse elements and make them work. Bennett had recovered fully. The Navy offered him a position as Marine liaison to DevGru. He'd accepted immediately. Now Sarah taught advanced hand-to-hand combat. 32 students from every special operations branch, SEALs, Rangers, Marine Raiders, Air Force Pararescue, 30 men, 2 women. Bennett assisted. He'd mastered Phantom Protocol during recovery. Could teach it almost as well as Sarah now. Today's lesson focused on size disadvantages. Sarah called a volunteer. A massive Ranger stepped forward, 6'5", 230 pounds. Size matters in combat, Sarah told the class, but not the way most think. This Ranger has 80 pounds on me, 7 inches of reach, every physical advantage but watch. She demonstrated techniques: speed overcoming strength, flexibility defeating rigidity, intelligence trumping power. The Ranger was a good sport, took the falls, made her look good. After class, a female Ranger raised her hand. "Ma'am, how do you overcome the mental aspect? Everyone saying you're too small, too weak?" Sarah smiled. "You don't overcome it. You make it irrelevant. You become so undeniably good that capability speaks louder than doubt. You earn respect through excellence that can't be ignored." Bennett added, "And for those of us who doubted, we eventually learn. Sometimes the hard way. I got choked unconscious in front of 400 people. Best lesson I ever received." The class laughed. Training continued. After students left, Bennett approached Sarah. "Lieutenant Commander, your 1600 meeting is in 10. Sarah checked her watch. Right. The meeting she'd been thinking about all week. "Thanks. Secure the gear." "Already done, ma'am." Sarah changed into dress blues, walked across the DevGru compound toward the memorial garden. Black granite, engraved names, a place for remembering. Master Chief Turner waited there, retired from active duty but still in the area, consulting, teaching occasionally, being available for the operators he'd trained over 3 decades. He looked older, 63 now, more gray, more lines, but his eyes remained sharp. "Master Chief?" Sarah. Not the professional greeting, the genuine warmth of family. "How's teaching?" "Good, really good. Breaking down Dad's system, seeing it click for students. It feels right." "Your dad would love that. He always said Phantom Protocol should outlive him. Looks like it will." They stood in comfortable silence, looking at the names. So many names. Brothers lost, friends gone. The price of being the tip of the spear. Sarah found her father's name, touched the engraved letters. Master Chief William Mitchell, the same ritual, the same connection across 13 years. "I got the call today," Sarah said quietly. "Task Force Command, Afghanistan, high-value targets, 6 months minimum. You taking it?" "I don't know. Part of me wants to keep proving myself. Show Saturday night wasn't luck. Yemen wasn't a fluke." Turner was quiet. Then, "Your father told me something the night before he died. Before the op, where he didn't come back." Sarah waited. Couldn't speak. "He said being a warrior wasn't about the fighting, not about winning, not about proving." Turner's voice carried the weight of 13 years. "He said it was about crying for the brothers you lost, wiping your eyes and getting back to work. Because the mission continues. Because someone has to stand on the wall." Turner's voice thickened. "He said, warriors cry because they're strong enough to feel everything and fight anyway, strong enough to break and still stand." Sarah felt tears coming. Didn't fight them this time. They came hot and unstoppable. For her father. For 13 years without him. For the weight of his legacy. For everything. Turner gripped her shoulder. "You've been fighting so hard not to cry since you were 13. Since those officers came with that flag. You've been stone and water and air. Everything except human. Bennett told me, 'Try not to cry, princess.'" That first day, like crying made me weak. And what did you learn? That he was wrong. Crying doesn't make you weak. Not crying when you need to, that's weakness. Because you're not processing, not healing, not being honest about the cost. Turner nodded. Your dad cried after every mission where we lost someone. He'd go somewhere private, let it out, then wipe his face and get back to work. Best operator I ever served with. Strongest man I ever knew. And he cried. Bennett appeared at the garden entrance, hesitated when he saw them. Sarah waved him over. He approached slowly, respectful. Sorry to interrupt, ma'am. Just wanted to update you. The Afghanistan Task Force brief is postponed 48 hours. Command wants to review your input on team composition first. Sarah looked at Turner, then Bennett, then her father's name. Tell them 72 hours. I need time to think. Bennett nodded, started to leave, stopped. Ma'am, you are what warriors should be. Your father would be beyond proud. After Bennett left, Sarah turned to Turner. I'm taking the deployment, not to prove anything, but because it's the mission. Because terrorists need stopping. Someone has to do it. Your dad would agree. But Master Chief, when I get back, I want leave. Real leave. Go home. Visit Mom. Stand at Dad's grave and tell him everything. Process this. Feel it. Let myself be human. Turner pulled her into a hug, the kind a father gives. That's the smartest thing you've said in years. Your dad would approve. They stood there, two warriors in a garden of names, remembering, honoring, preparing for what came next. Sarah pulled back, wiped her eyes, straightened her uniform. Time to brief the team. What will you tell them? That the mission continues, that we have work to do, that there are people who need us, and that we're ready. Turner smiled. Your dad used to say one more thing before missions. What? Try not to cry, baby girl. But if you do cry, make sure it's after the mission. Tears come after the fight. Then you wipe your face and get back to work. Because that's what warriors do. Sarah walked toward the briefing room. Bennett fell in beside her. Staff Sergeant, thanks for learning, for changing, for being willing to admit you were wrong. Thank you for showing me what right looks like, for saving my life in Yemen. I owe you everything. You don't owe me anything, but if you want to repay a debt, help me train the next generation. Make sure capability is the only standard that matters. Deal. They reached the briefing room. 12 operators waited. The team Sarah would lead into Afghanistan, into danger. Warriors ready to follow because she'd proven herself. Not once, not twice, but over and over until doubt became impossible. Sarah stood before them, thought about her father, about Turner, about Bennett's transformation, about everything that led to this moment. Gentlemen, we have 6 months of work ahead. Let's talk about how we're going to make a difference. The briefing began. Plans developed, questions asked, contingencies explored. The work of warriors preparing for war. That night in her quarters, Sarah sat at her desk. Her father's notebook, his trident pin, the worn black belt her father had earned in Krav Maga hanging on the wall. Artifacts of a legacy she carried forward. She thought about everything. The 6 fights, Bennett's transformation, Yemen, the teaching, the upcoming deployment. All of it connected by a single thread. Her father's vision of what she could become. Sarah picked up a pen, opened her own notebook, and wrote, Dad, 13 years ago, you left me Phantom Protocol. Tonight, I'm adding to it, because the system isn't just techniques, it's principles. And the most important principle you taught me was this. Warriors aren't defined by never falling. We're defined by standing back up. We're not defined by never crying. We're defined by wiping our eyes and continuing the mission. You told me to try not to cry. But you also showed me that crying doesn't make us weak. It makes us human. And humans who choose to fight anyway? Those are warriors. I'm taking a team to Afghanistan. We'll hunt terrorists, save hostages, Do the work that needs doing. And when I come home, I'll stand at your grave and tell you everything. Until then, know this. You created something bigger than yourself. Phantom Protocol isn't just mine now. It's Bennett's. It's every student I teach. It's every warrior who learns that technique beats strength, intelligence beats size, and heart beats everything. Thank you for preparing me, for believing in me, for creating a system that proves capability has no gender. I love you, I miss you, and I'll make you proud. Sarah. She closed the notebook, set it beside her father's. 2 generations of warriors, 2 books of knowledge, both teaching the same lesson. True strength isn't about never breaking. It's about breaking and choosing to heal, choosing to stand, choosing to fight. 3 weeks later, Sarah boarded a C-17 from Andrews, Bennett and her team around her, ready for 6 months of operations. As the plane lifted off from Virginia Beach, Sarah touched her father's dog tags, worn smooth from 13 years, a reminder of legacy, of standard, of love. A young ranger across from her noticed. "Those your dad's, ma'am?" Yes, he was a SEAL, killed in Afghanistan 2011. "I'm sorry. Don't be." He died doing what he loved, protecting his team, serving his country. Sarah smiled. "He taught me everything about being a warrior. The most important lesson? That try not to cry isn't about being tough. It's about timing. Ma'am, warriors cry. We just choose when. We cry after the mission, after the work is done, after we've earned the right to feel everything we held back." Sarah looked at her team. "Then we wipe our faces and prepare for the next mission. Because the work is never done. The fight continues, and someone has to stand on the wall." The ranger nodded, understanding. Sarah closed her eyes. In 6 months, she'd come home. Take that leave, visit her mother, stand at her father's grave, cry as much as she needed, process the weight of everything. But for now, she had a mission, had warriors depending on her, had enemies who needed stopping and hostages who needed saving. For now, she was Lieutenant Commander Sarah Mitchell, Dev Gru operator, Phantom, warrior, her father's daughter. She'd learned the truth. Warriors do cry. They cry for the fallen. They cry for the cost. They cry because the work breaks pieces of you, and only the broken understand what it takes to keep going. They cry. They wipe their eyes. They get back to work. Not because they're told to try not to cry, but because they're warriors. If this story moved you, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. And tell me, what city are you watching from?